Hello to you and welcome to the Eric Zane Show podcast. It's a daily show where we discuss news, nonsense, and my personal adventures from right here in the Impact Power Sports studio. More on them in a second. It's important to get right to the news, and that is Ben Glaze is not sure about how ice works. And it's just another high point moment for Ben Glaze. You know, you'll just have these flashes of incredible, you have like incredible moments and flashes of brilliance. And when I say brilliance, I mean it's brilliant how entertaining it is to hear someone exude something so ridiculous. And it comes to us because it's so debilitatingly cold. And so during the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast yesterday, Ben said, my God, this is something else. It's going to be really cold tomorrow. I might not go to work. I might not be able to get to work. And now I had heard about it being cold, but like right now it's sunny out. There's not like any moisture falling. There's no snow. And I'm like, so what would keep you from going to work? This all happened on the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast, but I wanted to kind of rehash it here on my own. He goes, well, the roads are going to be frozen. I go, well, they've been frozen for weeks. Yeah, but they weren't frozen when I went to work the other day. They were slushy. I go, well, they weren't slushy. They may have been snow covered, but it wasn't. I could tell the message wasn't getting through. It wasn't like he thought that it was just gonna that. And I go, well, you understand though that if it's under 32 degrees, it's gonna freeze. Now, if you treat the roads, yeah, I mean, it turns to slush, but it's been so cold that they don't even treat the roads. It's pointless because those chemicals only work to a certain point that they put on the roads, and it's been so goddamn cold. And now it's twice as cold now than it has been. So in his brain, the roads were dry and not frozen. And then when the temperature drops, they somehow freeze. And we were all like, what? What are you talking about? What's going on in that noggin of yours? Amanda says, don't they use sand instead? They do. They do use sand. But for whatever reason, Ben had it. He was convinced that if the temperature is what it is now, which is 0 or less right now, it's -2 right now where I am. And he's like, well, that's gonna mess everything up. Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to be any different for you today than it was any other day of the week. He checks in after getting to work fine. He says the roads were not icier than yesterday. LOL. Well, no, they weren't. It's the same goddamn road. Nothing's changed. It's a few degrees colder. Maureen makes the point, in case anyone was confused, ice like frozen water, not federal agents going around killing people. By the way, did you see that one guy, the ICE agent, who they were going somewhere in Minnesota to get, somewhere in Minneapolis to get a guy who actually was into kids. He was a kid toucher, which, you know, there are a lot of people that they are bringing out of the country who are, in fact, criminals. A lot of people lose sight of that. So in those moments, definitely doing the Lord's work. Now, in my opinion, if ICE guy goes in and there's a guy there who's 84 years old and he's in a wheelchair and he's like, Senor, I love everyone, and he's lived a good life and he's raised kids and he's sweet and kind, and then they go, fuck you, and they flip him out of the chair, and then they take him to the detention center in El Salvador. I don't like that. I can't get behind that. Okay? And then Becca Shea says, like, criminals like that 5-year-old. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I don't doubt it. I'm sure it happened where a 5-year-old was probably like, just like, you know, hey, Mr. Rice guy, I love everybody. I'm just a 5. Fuck you. And then they, you know, throw him out of the country. That's happening all over the place right now. And that is just fucking awful. I cannot believe that. Bob says the video of them taking down the furry is hilarious. Yeah, that was the guy who had a fox's head on, like a mascot. If he was the mascot for the Fighting Foxes or something. And he was dancing while wearing the fox head. And then these ICE agents said, fuck that, let's go kick his ass. And then they did. That's the thing. You might think that you can, normal law enforcement, they're probably not going to get away with kicking your ass for dancing. Okay? But ICE, they will fuck you up. You don't want to be fucking around with these idiots. Black Belt Nick says, do you mean the 5-year-old that was abandoned by the dad when they went to arrest him and they kept safe instead of alone? Okay, so now we have conflicting reports. Becca Shea says that the 5-year-old was a criminal, like she's saying that antagonistically. She says, criminals like the 5-year-old? And I'm like, oh, wow, they kick him out? But now I'm getting other comments that are adding a little bit more info to this. So I guess the ball's back in Becca Shea's court after Nick says, no, you're getting that wrong. And then follow up from Bob, who says, yeah, the 5-year-old that was abandoned by his illegal father. And then Alan says they literally just detained the child because his piece of shit father left him behind. So is the suggestion then that they were like, all right, we got to like put this kid in a safe spot while we sort the dad thing out? Because Becca Shea made it sound like, you know, they treated him like a criminal. So, I mean, again, this is the first I've heard of this. And that's usually how the chat goes. You get, my hair. Oh, my God. You get one half of the room being like, yeah, they locked up a 5-year-old. And then the other half of the room is like, no, that's not what happened at all. Anyway, there was a video of ICE guy who rolls up to person. You know how like ICE is going to various places, and then these local watchdog groups will like honk their horns to warn the people that they are trying to capture that ICE is coming. There was one in particular where the ICE guy rolls up and there's the guy honking his horn and he says, look, and he like levels with them. He was a black guy. And he says, look, you're making all sorts of noise. And the guy we're going to get right now is a child molester. Can we just go get the child molester and you stop doing this while we're getting the child molester? Now, I don't fault the local activists for laying on the horns, okay? Because they don't know that the ICE guy is going to get a child molester. And I would probably, I mean, if you're getting ready to start the day for the ICE watchdog team to honk your horn, I'm guessing that those people aren't interested in help being on the side of the child molester. If there was a way for the sides to communicate, because I'm guessing that the ones that are laying on the horns, they're probably not interested in, you know, offering assistance to a child molester. Megan says, Fox News, the kid was not abandoned by his father. His father was detained. So more information. The kid went with his dad to the ICE center. And then she said, never make me look at Fox News again. All right. So now we have 3 comments on this. And it's like a moving target, it seems. Criminals like that 5-year-old. You mean the 5-year-old abandoned by the dad? And then, so there's 3 comments about the kid being abandoned. But Megan says, according to Fox News, the kid was not abandoned by dad. Dad was detained. The kid went with dad to the ICE center. Okay, so I think the dad was not a piece of shit. He didn't abandon the kid. And the kid is not being looked at as a criminal. So you're all wrong. In this particular case, Megan seems to have the information down. I don't know. I mean, it makes the most sense with what she was telling us. It's a damn good thing she did that, because everybody else on here, you're all trying to start fights with each other. David says the chat is a disaster today. Disagree. The chat is outstanding as always, and I'm glad you and everyone else is in it. Rebecca says the problem is that ICE is not operating with any sort of transparency. If they were actually going for the violent criminals, fine. But that's not what they're doing, and the profiling is disgusting. They're going after citizens who are here legally. Well, those are orders from the top, and I disagree. It is transparent. It's because we all know what's happening. What you just said is probably all accurate. They are with the profiling and all that. That's the easiest way for them to get to their goal. Becca Shea says transparently racist. Yeah, and I agree with you that what they're doing is like, oh, okay, well, that guy's brown. Well, let's go ask him if he's here legally. And, okay, look, I know what you mean, that it sounds that it's racist and it's in it, but it isn't. It is transparent. But, I mean, let's be honest here. If you want to get the job done as quickly as possible, let's say you or someone you know or love is an ICE agent. And the people who you're trying to get out of the country are brown. But you still want to uphold the law, and that is get people who came into the U.S. illegally. Now, this is going to make incredible sense to you, but you're not going to like it. Your job is to get people that entered the country illegally out of the country. As much as I hate it, as much as you hate it, that is the law. And so they're doing this as quickly as possible by just rounding everybody up. Criminal, non-criminal, young, old, male, female, wheelchair, walker, you name it. And as much as it's awful, it is awful to walk around and say, hey, you're brown, let me see your ID. I want to make sure you're here legally. It's kind of efficient if you think about it. Like if all of the people that were in the country illegally who are brown suddenly got vitiligo and turned white, ICE would not be able to do it. They'd be like, what the fuck? Where are they? So this is horrible. This is absolutely awful. But if let's say because of my big fucking nose and in the summertime, my brown skin, an ICE guy goes, hey, where are you from? Let me see your ID. All I'm going to do is say, here you go, buddy. And just give it to him and be on my way. That's what I would do. I'm not going to kick. I'm not going to scream. Stevie says they're only going after brown-skinned people. Yes, that's true. But I take it back. There were a lot of stories about Europeans who came from countries in Europe or maybe like Yugoslavia or Bosnia so that's not entirely true. I would say that it's the simplest way or the quickest way to get that job done, the job of, all right, we want everybody who's not supposed to be here out. Now, when you say it like that, I want everybody who is not supposed to be in here out. You may think, oh, well, that's just the most horrible thing in the world. But if you go back to other presidencies that are Democratic, that's the same rule. Like these rules that are being enforced, they weren't put in place by Trump. Okay, the law was made during other presidential terms that weren't Republican. So it's just now the law that had been in place back then is just being enforced. That is the only thing that's happening here. And I know it's very easy to say that this all happening is the end of times and is the start of a genocide or it's Hitler revisited. I really don't believe that at all. I think that that's kind of going way too far on how you think this is going to turn out. Does it seem racist? Yes. But I want you to take a step back from that. I want you to try to understand, though, that these are laws that have been on the books for a long time. And as much as I hate it, you hate it, it's kind of what got the guy elected in the first place. So whether you like it or not, most of America supports this. Like more than 50% supports this. Anybody who voted for Trump is supporting this. And most, since he won, I mean, you got to, what the hell? And take this to note. This is what he said he was going to do. Now, when was the last, now you don't like it, I don't like it, but when was the last time a president was elected and actually did what he said he was going to do? Stevie says, support killing people in the streets. Come on. Oh, I know. And you're referring to Renee Good there, who got shot and killed. But that's not the norm. I mean, every day there aren't people being murdered on the street. There isn't like mass casualty events happening. So as much as that particular moment was one of the most awful things you could ever possibly have happen or see, understand that that is an isolated incident based on circumstance, in my opinion. Drives a car, cop thinks he's getting run over, cop pulls out the gun, boom, that's that. All right. Rebecca says, my grandparents were here legally from the Netherlands, but they had thick accents. They would not have been targeted, though, because they were right. I don't know that, and I don't know how you know that. Rebecca says, the irony is the 34 felony count president gets to do this. Cole says 34 felony convictions, no prison time because they are fake-ass talking point charges that the Democrats thought would prevent him from getting elected. I don't know. IMKO says, I feel for these folks. One administration brings them in or makes it insanely easy to come in on the promise of a better life. Is that right? The next kicks them out on their ass, and everyone else takes a side, not realizing that everyone sucks. I don't know if it's that simple. Piano Finger Banger says the problem is they are arresting and detaining people off the street, even U.S. citizens. Okay, what do you mean by that? Are you telling me that it's possible that someone could walk up to you and say, papers, and then you prove who you are, and they go, we don't care. We are arresting you. I haven't heard of that. I've heard of people who when they say papers, and then like they go, I don't have to show you nothing. It's my right. I'm not showing you anything. I'm here legally. All right, well, prove it. Just show me your ID. It's all you got to do. And then they get pissed off, and then they resist, and then they're arrested. Now, that's not being arrested because you're a U.S. citizen. That's different. I would argue that if 100 people were approached by dickhead ICE agents, who are mostly jackasses, or it seemed like it, I don't know, and if they all said to 100 of these people, prove that you're an American, and they all did, that none of those people would be arrested. I do not believe that legal U.S. citizens who do what they are asked to do would have a problem. I don't believe that. Megan says he also ran on releasing the Epstein files, but here we are loving and protecting the pedos, which, honestly, if you see Trump in the wild, make sure someone gets audio and video of you calling him a pedophile protector. And then you need to make sure that you get in trouble so that somebody gets a GoFundMe going and you can capitalize on that shit. I absolutely would do that. So when I see the president and I go, hey, you pedophile protector, fuck you. And then it gets posted and he gives me the finger, tells me to go fuck myself. And then I announce that I've been fired from the Eric Zane Show podcast, or I've been suspended from the Eric Zane Show podcast. And then I'm going to make my own GoFundMe and then ride off into the sunset. And when people say, what are you going to do with that money? I say, I'm going to spend it. I'm going to use it on myself. Stevie says they've gone too far. Time to abolish ICE. Becca Shea says, and Keith Porter and others. I don't know that name. Probably a victim of some horrible incident. Becca says they are not following constitutional law. Every single person in this country, legal or not, is entitled to the legal process. Well, I don't think that if that is going to happen, it's going to have to be after the fact. I think that the way Trump operates, which isn't exactly by the book. You know, you think about, I mean, if they are by the book, they're the by the book moments where like several constitutional lawyers have to go and discuss it and figure out if it's actually legal. And if it's not legal, like let's say Trump does something that's actually not legal according to the Constitution, he basically shrugs and says, oh, well, deal with it. So that's kind of how it is now. Also, Rebecca points out, just because it's the law doesn't make it right. The laws in Nazi Germany didn't protect the soldiers and leaders from prosecution. Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. But that's now we're kind of getting back to Godwin's law there, which everything goes back to Hitler and the Nazis. I don't know if it's fair to equate getting people who are in the country illegally to leave the country in any type of comparison to actual genocide of human beings. That's not fair, in my opinion. Piano Fingerbanger says, even people that are here undocumented are not criminals. That isn't a crime. It's a civil matter, and they are entitled to due process the same as all of us are. Exactly. 100%. Becky Shea says they've been taking people out of courthouses that were there trying to get their papers. Make it make sense. Well, that's called low-hanging fruit. And that's the same thing that I was talking about, how ICE is like, all right, let's get some brown-faced people the fuck out of here. That's what they're doing. It's low-hanging fruit. It's easy for them. They hang out at courthouses. Right now, how you go to a airport and there's like a muster zone where all the Ubers are? That's what they're doing at courthouses. They're like lined up, ready to go. And so you get some little old lady there. There was just a moment yesterday at the courthouse here. 79-year-old lady walked up to get her documentation. And right when she was right in line, right in the front. And the clerk was like, here, mamacita, let me give you your papers. And right when she was handing them to the 79-year-old lady, which all she wanted to do was go home and make piñatas. She was a local manufacturer of piñatas, and she had a whole order of piñatas to be made. But she knew she had to get her papers because they weren't in order, so she goes to get the papers. And they hand her the papers to the 79-year-old piñata maker, and then all of a sudden, ICE guy comes in. He goes, fuck your papers! And he grabs him, grabs her, and he throws her down to the ground. The walker goes flying, and she's screaming. There's video of this on my website. And then they cuff her, and they drag her out of there. The next thing you know, there's video of her standing on the tarmac at the Ford airport, and she's army crawling with her hands behind her back up the ramp of a C-130 transport. They kind of rolled her to the side and chained her to the floor, and that's it. She's headed off to the El Salvador prison. So what you said is absolutely true. Horrific. How can you actually sleep when you snatch a 79-year-old piñata maker who is in here illegally? She's just about to get her papers, and then they do that to you. Amanda's here. Now, Amanda's 99 times out of 100 wrong in all of these types of discussion that involve brain power. She writes, a little more research on how to get into a country, but I'm taking a wild guess here, to say that immigrants want to come. They need to apply for a visa when they're outside of the country. That gets them in the country, and then they can apply for status. So if you don't have a visa, that's why you're getting kicked out. I don't know. I have no idea. Stevie says it's awful. We're glorifying pedos by protecting them and shooting people in the streets. I hate it here. Well, that's I mean, I get it. I don't know of any pedos who are glorified. Like, we had a moment where we were talking about Amanda's grandpa. Is that what you're referring to? Amanda's child-loving grandpa? Which pedophile are we glorifying there? I think you might be kind of wrapping up that comment into like anger and shooting people in the streets. I think that one person was shot that I know of, maybe two. There haven't been a lot of people that have been shot. The Fourth Amendment protects U.S. citizens from the need to show proof. There you go. Bread Bull Brain Chris. Now, I trust him. I don't trust any of you except Bread Bull Brain Chris. Stevie says, whatever happened to Land of the Free? This is bullshit. Well, I think what they're doing now is Land of the Free, like if you're supposed to be here. Kuiper says the fact that everybody thought those files would be released is actually funny. I don't think it's funny. I think it's awful. They should release those files. Amanda is talking about her grandpa, who she had she said, I'm pretty sure I wasn't glorifying him. What he did was absolutely wrong. Okay, so Amanda's grandpa loves kids, and she would show a picture and say, here he is with children. I love him forever. Then she says, what I was saying is that he did his time and he knew what he did wrong and he learned his lesson. That's what that's for. Well, I might have embellished some of it. I mean, come on now. Megan says it was gross that we were playing show and tell with family photos of a stranger that did disgusting things. Everything about that was awful. Yeah, tell me about it. Megan 100% disagrees with Amanda and says, you sure as shit were glorifying him. We don't do show and tell with photos like that. It was so off. And then Linda said, but you also hold a grudge against your sister for protecting her kids from him, Amanda. So I think what's happening here is it seems like if Amanda was at the Ford auto plant, all right, and she's walking around, and Megan was working there with Stevie and Linda, they would look up at her and say, hey, fuck you, pedo protector. And then Amanda would do a Jimmy Superfly Snuka from that podium and smash them to the ground. She would be so upset about that. That's what's happening right here. Because if you missed it, it was an unbelievable moment. Amanda was eulogizing her beloved grandpa, and Ben and I were making horrible jokes about this guy being a pedophile. That's what happened. There's in every picture, it was just weird with looking at it through the lens of him he wasn't convicted of being a pedophile, but he liked looking at bad pictures. Okay. Piano Fingerbanger says, let's just say all these people that they've been detaining are in fact here undocumented. Who gives a fuck? Exactly. They are here doing jobs no one else wants to do and contributing to society. We should have a straightforward process for them to get visas or green cards, but the whole system is a clusterfuck. Trump has 100% bypassed all of the possibilities of having the righteous people that are here, undocumented or illegal, and utilizing them for their skills and the good things that they bring to America. If you have 100,000 people that are undocumented, 98% of those people are good, law-abiding citizens who've worked very hard to build lives. Sure, they're in here illegally, but that should not be the big deal that it is. That should be, oh, okay, you weren't supposed to do that, but we're going to correct that, okay? And this is what you need to do that. That is the Eric Zane Day One Presidency Immigrant Amnesty Program, okay? These are unbelievable contributors to society who some have worked in backbreaking fields and spending a tremendous amount of time and energy working jobs that they got really great at and were labor intensive. Others went the route of getting an education and being outstanding in their fields. That has been my take from day one. The problem is nobody in the administration is willing to do the legwork to determine who is who and what is what, to be able to have an amnesty program for the productive members of our society and get rid of the problems. All right? Rebecca says, listen, if I hear one more person say kids today don't want to work while also violently removing the folks who will do the work, I'm going to lose my shit. Oh, yeah. Ridiculous. New chatter. AJEND2 says, LOL, illegals cost us $450 billion annually and can tell we live far from the southern border. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means, nor am I sure about that statistic. I don't know. I mean, you're throwing a number in a throwaway comment on here. You're going to need, if you want to participate in the chat, I really want you to make sure you write correctly so that I can read it appropriately. And then says Google it. Look, you seem angry and confrontational, and I don't want to do that. And you're not going to tell me to Google anything. I'm not going to Google anything. I'm going to sit here for 2 hours a day, and I'm going to talk and try to make sense of the world. But if you're going to come in here and throw something out and then say Google it, go fuck yourself. You Google it and come together and come up with a point of view that's concise and thorough and that we can, kick around here. IMKO is here. Says there's some pretty dumb shit being said in here. Challenge your biases and get outside of your information bubble. Piano Fingerbanger says that other comment. Source, trust me, bro. Yeah, I don't do trust me, bro. You're right, Piano Fingerbanger. This is bullshit. Joe Martinez is here via my phone. Joe, I don't know if you know this, but you have, for all your years being part of Twitch, have compiled a number of chat points somewhere on your end. You can redeem points. Since you've been with us for so long, it's probably several 100,000 points. You can redeem those points if you scroll back to like IMKO here. He redeemed 350 points and made his comment. You can actually make comments on the chat. But I'll definitely read this. The only reason why I'm reading this is because Joe's a Mexican. And he's pissed off. He wrote, fuck him and fuck all the MAGA white assholes. You know what I'm interested in? Because when Trump won, he had a large number of Latino voters, Latina people who have their heritage going somewhere south of the border who voted for him. And then now that this happens, what is the mindset of people who voted for them? Are they saying, yeah, fuck yeah, get him out of here? Bread Bull Brain Chris says, you're making that up. Joe is MAGA all the way. I don't think he is. Megan is addressing more of Amanda, saying, here's my child-loving grandpa, which did happen. She writes, it's a weird place to bring shit up for empathy. You held up pics while laughing that someone said he had a boner in pics with kids. That was me that said that. How would that signal that anyone should give empathy? Seems like you were open to people taking digs at your grandpa. That's not empathetic to your mom. Scott says Trump has deported 140,000 since April 25. Obama, 2.7 million from 2009 to 2016. Okay, I don't know if that's true, but let's just assume it is. If that's true, doesn't that mean anything? Does that make this easier to process? That a Democratic president deported 2.7 million people. Becca Shea says Obama did not send idiots into the street just to get all the brown people. Okay, yeah, if there was a way to maybe capture what Obama did, I mean, how was he able to get 2.7 million people off of the street without doing it the way ICE did it? I'm curious about that. Rebecca says to Scott, the difference is the manner in which it's happening. Trump is proud and parading it all around like a badge of honor. The cruelty of it all is the point. Okay. I think that there might be some method to that madness, though. I'm trying to play devil's advocate here on all of these things. I'm doing a great job, as usual, of being devil's advocate here on all of these topics. We got Amanda saying, look at this child lover. And then you got the rest of the crew saying, fuck that guy. And then I have to navigate that. And then we have pro-ICE and we have anti-ICE. And here I am in all of it, flawless. Okay? I think that what I'm actually pulling off here is one of the greatest things that we will all witness, at least for the weekend. Let me get back to this. While you do see a lot of ICE people grabbing people off the street, it's dramatic. It sells. You got to understand. Have you ever heard of the term, if it bleeds, it leads in news? That applies here. Terrible footage of cars getting rammed and people blowing horns and ICE guys grabbing people off the street. It drives people to watch. There's money involved there. That's part of it. It could also be the people that are making the decisions to make sure that this happens. They may be thinking, if bad people know, or people that aren't bad, who are law-abiding citizens, but are, well, I shouldn't say citizens, or people that are in here undocumented know this, that might make them, make this an easier process. It might be a deterrent for people to not come into the country. As far as I know, what I've read is that there's not a lot of activity at the southern border. People trying to get into the U.S. now because of the way it is. I don't know. So what I'm trying to say there is maybe there's some benefit to this. Regarding Amanda rolling with the jokes that Ben and I were bombing her with when she was showing pedo grandpa. I think this is a fair response. Megan, I've had to deal with a lifetime of people giving me digs all the time, so I guess I'm just numb to it. And I actually give her credit. I'm doing a comedy show to some degree. Ben and Eric, she's showing pictures of grandpa. To me, that's a fertile environment for jokes. That's just how I deal with it. I mean, because what's the alternative? Make it awkward and say, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think everybody needs to relax. Amanda is, look, she's one of a kind. Okay? She is not afraid to stand out and say what she says. She is not afraid of that in any way, and I've given her credit for that in the past. She pushes the envelope. She moves the meter when it comes to things that are discussable on the show, and I give her credit for that. And I can say ridiculously rude shit to her, and for the at the goal of getting a laugh, and she does roll with it. All right. My God, I've got a character that makes her sound like the most unpleasant person on the planet. Scott says, it was quiet. You just didn't see it, referring to how people were deported in other administrations. Stevie says, Amanda could have kept this information to herself and we would have never known. Why bring it up? Well, look, from a standpoint of talking about something or something provocative. So in the business that I'm in, if somebody is going to go and say, hey, here's my grandpa, he touched kids. As much as you might hate that, it's also a provocative thing to bring up. It's like, what the fuck? And from a talking thing, something to talk about standpoint, that is worthy, I guess, of like, hey, holy shit, are you really doing that? Piano Fingerbanger says the Obama numbers include people that were caught and turned away at the border. They do not count it that way anymore. Ben Glaze refers to me as King Eric. Easy. I agree with that. Amanda says, why do I bring anything up? It's the Amanda Show. Megan says, so you brought up something to get attention, something awful to get attention. Got it. But we should have empathy for your mom. Ike Humminspurt says, I'm of the belief news agencies don't really give a fuck about the people they cover. They just want the ratings, and that's for both left and right leaning news agencies. You, my friend, have it down. Do you think that a news agency or a TV network goes about their day saying, today our main priority is doing what's right for our fellow man? Negative. The number one job of any TV station, TV network, radio station, radio broadcast, podcast, Facebook video of two guys from England going across the Mackinac Bridge is to get people to watch. The more that watch, the more money it makes. Full stop. If they had the ability to draw viewership from people who are from the left and people who are from the right, based on what they say or do, they would be the most happy with that. Like me, here I am doing this show live. The vast number of people that are watching right now, 38, I would say it's divided up fairly even as to what people believe. And the reason for that is because I'm great. Amanda says, forget I said anything and I'll never talk again. Well, that's a Kenny comment. You can't do that. Amanda now says, all right, I said I'll never talk again, but I kind of want to answer Megan's last point. You go ahead. The original story I told was that my mom's family had to deal with the fact that my grandpa was a closeted gay man, and that was my point. Eric was the one that turned it around and made it about the child porn conviction. Well, look, I mean, I literally, when I wake up every day, I'm like, what do I need to do something interesting, funny, compelling, or interesting? There's one of three things that I can do: funny, compelling, or interesting. And I basically wait on what things are presented to me, and then I go about my day. And that's it. And I can't control what comes at me. I can't control how I try to be interesting. It's always the same pattern every time. Bob says, fart onto the mic with major distortion applied. I can't do that anymore. First of all, it upsets Rick, and I don't want to do that. Second of all, my current setup doesn't have the ability to apply distortion. However, I would say this. If I suddenly gain that ability to apply the heavy distortion on fart, I might do it again and bring back Devil Fart Mike. Okay? I think we may, though, after yesterday and today's follow-up discussion, we might have exhausted any attempts to go through family albums of convicted child porno people. Okay? I don't think that is going to happen again. Well, I don't think it would have happened any other time. And I think the only person who would ever say, hey, let's look at my family photos of my good-looking child porno-loving gay man grandpa, I think the only person who ever would attempt that would be Amanda. And that's why she's a content driver. All right? Bull in a china shop, and somebody who the audience may want to drop an elbow on from time to time. But I think we all as a group need to have that type of upsetting the apple cart. Do I want to sit around and look at pictures of pedos? No, not at all. Joe Martinez is back. Concerning the chat points, he's not interested. He'd rather just send me texts. He writes, fuck the points. Fuck that asshole who kissed clown ass. And then he writes, tell that dumb shit Obama didn't play the Gestapo card. Dumb shit. All right. Let me tell you, audience members, that I salute you, and I think you're all amazing. Everybody's got to relax. It's going to be okay. We just got a visitor from Bruce, who I have a story about him in a second. Rebecca says, you know it's bad when Joe Martinez is being serious and not shit-talking. Amanda says, I happen to have these photos out because I'm putting together a legacy box for my family with photos I have dating back to 1919. So let me ask you this. I guess one more question. First of all, I don't know what a legacy box is. but I'm guessing it's something that has pictures of family members. You can't like put family members of pedo grandpa on there, right? I mean, if you're gonna have no problem with grandpa now that he's done his time, I don't know if it's a great idea to put together a family legacy box and have pedo paw on the box. I'm thinking that the rest of the family, which I think was kind of like the point of everybody in the chat's point, that it's okay that the other family members want to kick pedo grandpa's ass. I think that that's kind of where they were on it. They're like, God bless your family for wanting to beat that. You know, it's kind of like anybody who hurts a child needs to go to hell, and I agree with them. You know? So I don't know. I think if I'm you, I mean, if it were me, if it were me and I had pictures of pedo paw, I'd probably burn them. You know, or if you're going to include pictures of pedo paw, you probably want to have him separate from everybody. You know, you want to have like all the other family members that aren't into children, and then he can have his own pedo box. Amanda says, for the record, he didn't touch children. Right. As far as we know, he just thought about it. And don't tell me there's people in here that haven't thought about sinning, just haven't done anything. That's a little murky. I don't want to go down the road and compare kid lust to anything else. You know? Let's just focus on the big picture here, and that is, for your own sake, I think you want to like keep him in his own isolated area, because I doubt anybody else wants to be associated with Grandpa, who's into looking at horrible pictures. Megan makes a great point, and everybody else is losing their mind with that comment that Amanda made. Okay, this is what I mean. She drives the content. Everybody here is going, what the fuck? And I can't disagree with them. I'm trying to play devil's advocate, but you're making it extremely difficult to do that. When you said, for the record, he didn't touch children, he just thought about it, and don't tell me there's people in here that haven't thought about sinning, just haven't done anything. That's a tough one to kind of navigate through. How am I supposed to put, a spin on this when you keep throwing these haymakers that are, it's like you're Dunkelman with a spoon digging your own hole, which is how that saying is. Give Brian Dunkelman a spoon, he'll dig his own hole. You don't have a spoon, you've got a backhoe. Oh my God. Oh man. I need to read these comments. You have incensed everybody. I don't want to say the word defend because I don't think I've defended you. I've just tried to put it in perspective. I can't even do that. You dummy. Rebecca says, hi, a family I don't talk to because they treated my mom poorly. That's a big deal. And I understand that. Megan says, that is a fucked up thing to say, Megan. Becca Shea says, if he just thought about it, then how do you know? Alan says, that is a crazy thing to say. Piano Finger Banger says, Amanda, I can confidently say that I have never once thought about touching a kid. Well, she didn't say that. She said sinning. But, boy. Megan says, my mind is blown that you said that, quote, out loud. Stevie says, what the fuck? Bob says, let's ask Mr. Pop Pop about this whole situation. Murder Lover Linda says, what the fuck? Cole says, maybe break out the band hammer for a bit. 600 seconds or so. Bread Bowl Brain Chris said, well, she did not say people here have thought about touching kids. Amanda says, no one's ever thought about robbing a bank or cheating on their spouse or stuff like that. Just me? Okay. Stevie says, don't defend him. What the fuck? Rebecca says, being gay doesn't mean someone likes kids. Those are completely unrelated things. Megan says, when Cole and Stevie agree on a topic, you know it's fucked up. 100%. That is probably the most incredible thing here. Linda says, I just can't. Runner Girl says, holy shit, Amanda. Piano Finger Banger says, LMAO, quote, nah, it's cool. He only thought about sticking his crank in a kid. That's a totally normal thing to do. Alan suggests a timeout. Maureen says, oh my God, just stop while you're behind. IMKO says, this chat is fucking wild today. Amy, same point. There is a world of difference between thinking about robbing a bank and touching a child. Amanda says, calm down, people. Most of my comments are sarcastic. Alan says, go have an orgy with the rest of the Zaniacs. Megan, same point Amy made. Murder Lover says, you can't read tone in a comment. Amanda says, you guys think I don't like stirring the pot. Yeah, maybe this is all a way for, but I don't know if it's great, you know? When I stir the pot, I don't know why it hits different, but it just does. But maybe there's a method to the madness. I have no idea. Cole says Amanda brought us all together. Megan, she's getting ready to kick some ass here. She says, Amanda, we know you like stirring the pot, but you get pissed that we don't have empathy for your mom. You don't have empathy for your mom. Don't try to make us feel bad for this shit. You're gross for this. Amanda says, that was a sarcastic comment, Megan. I wasn't serious. Megan says, this is not a topic to stir the pot over. Not really a jokey sort of topic. Alan says, Megan is going wild. All right. Stevie says, why are you joking and giggling about pedos? Well, I was making some horrible jokes about her grandpa. And a lot of people, not everybody was laughing at the jokes, but there were people laughing at those jokes. There were great jokes about her pedo grandpa. All right. IMKO says, dark humor is a coping mechanism. Don't judge. Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. Amanda says, Eric does, and you guys are still here. What the fuck? Well, you can't really do it that way, and here's why. All right? Here's why. There is context. There is an expectation. I've worked very hard to create an expectation for you. All right? And so much so that it's when someone else does it, they don't really know you like they know me. And your grandpa was actually convicted of child porno. So that's very, very real. And there's a picture of him looking like a guy who would like child porno. Nick says, all these whiners would have really hated Uncle Paul on Opie and Anthony. Great character. Oh, my God, is he funny. The optics of it were bad last night, as Megan writes. You paraded his pics around like he was freaking Jesus. I think if you had said, look at this asshole, this guy is such a creep, but I don't know if anybody would do it like that. I don't know. Bob says the character Uncle Paul being rather funny was a little unsettling, though. Let's see. What else do I have today? I do want to point this out. Our good friends over at Impact Power Sports are inviting you for a free popcorn Saturday. Their popcorn there is actually addictive. If you are in the neighborhood at Impact Power Sports, swing on by. Sometimes the popcorn is not actually made. Order it to be made. They will make you fresh popcorn, and you can just leave if you want. If you are looking for a Yamaha golf cart, they have those. They have motorcycles, scooters, e-bikes, snowmobiles, side-by-sides, ATVs, UTVs, anything on a wheel they have, or a track, even lawnmowers. Impact Power Sports in beautiful Rockford, Michigan. You can get more info at impactpowersportsmi.com. Thank you. When you need a haircut, bang on the door of King's Room Barbershop, kingsroom.net. They have 3 locations, Northland Drive, Caledonia, and at 821 36th Street. Kingsroom.net for King's Room Barbershop. Haircut will set you back $21. If you are a active or retired military member, you can get your haircut for $18. Please mention me when you go to King's Room Barbershop. I'm going to take a quick break, but before I I am going to head over and for the folks that are watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Kick, if you want the rest of this show, it's available on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live. Twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live. Patreon, patreon.com/Eric Zane. Tons of content posted there every single day. And as always, keep me in mind for an email, eric@ericzaneshow.com. That is the Shoreliner Striping inbox. Bread Bull Brain Chris says, Zaniac vibes coming out strong in the chat today. And I'm not sure what he means by that. I might need some clarification. He might be, and I don't know. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. I think he's trying to say, put down your pitchforks and your tiki torches. Maybe. I don't know. Is that what you're saying? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Or is it maybe the, are you getting the impression that it's like a pile-on, if you will? Like, all right, let's go get him. Let's get this person who's doing this or that. Bob agrees that they just need someone posting song lyrics every other chat. So that's what Chris is saying. So, all right, we're done. It's over. Let's just let things filter out. No big deal. Let's just relax. We all need to get along. Be friendly to each other and loving to each other. Nick says, piling on Amanda like ice on a Mexican. Nick has a high ratio on jokes he attempts and jokes that land. He's quite good at it. He had some bombs yesterday. Amanda writes, do I need to donate to a dog rescue or something to make you all happy now? Oh. Maureen says, I find Nick in the arena very amusing. Oh, he's a star. He is a star. Okay. Amanda writes, I'll go lead my lonely life. You guys have fun. Oh, boy. Okay. Everybody, just relax. Just flush that. People are going to be mad. All right. I will be back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. Stand by. Okay. Nothing to see here. All right. So we got a lot going on there. You got what appears to be a lot of people with the same sentiment You've got accusations of Zaniac vibes. I can't even agree with that, though. You know, I mean, that was a different thing. If you think about it, that was based on politics. This is much different. So I don't know if I don't know if it's fair to say that. Ike Humminspurts says, seems like I missed a lot while I was prepping for this damn ice storm. I forget where you are. Nashville, maybe? I think you're in Nashville. Is that where this is being talked about? Because ice storms are no joke. Being that there was one not far from here last March, and all the trees came down. Remarkable. At up north, Fear Bunker North area, northern Michigan, that fell victim to an ice storm. Vast. Ike says 3 to 5 inches of snow, over an inch of ice expected. Wow. That's the type of thing, though, if you have an ice storm where you lose power for a significant amount of time because of potential breakage of power poles. Power lines come down, poles break. And if that happens, Mike is here in Vermont. Is it Vermont or Connecticut? I forget. I do it every time. Your hope, if you have a generator, that's a big deal. Stevie says that that's nothing for us, but awful for them. Well, the 3 to 5 inches of snow is not the problem. It's the ice. If you 1/4 of an inch of ice will devastate a community. If you have 1 inch of ice hitting power lines and trees, it's a catastrophe. Vermont. You are in Vermont. I knew it. Oh, my God. When it comes to ice, just ask Ben Glaze. Last night was crazy. Some of you witnessed it on the Patreon bonus podcast. I was on here, and Bruce started really aggressively licking his paws. More so than he has in the past. And I was concerned. So, all right, I called the vet. I had just gotten back from the vet. Now, he got 4 different vaccinations. And I'm reasonably sure he was having a reaction, which has happened in the past to the poor boy for different vaccinations. But he got one for the first time. The Lyme disease one. I was like, oh, fuck. So maybe something bad is happening. But it was relegated to just the paw licking, thank God. He licked his paws so much that he was limping. Like, I think he would have chewed it off if I didn't give him the Benadryl. So I gave him 1.5 tabs of Benadryl. And that worked. And it made him tired. 5 hours later, though, he's in bed. And, oh, my God, he was an absolute mess. More Benadryl. And that seemed to do it, and he seems to be doing okay right now. As we do this, our very own Pooh Bear is settling in to a jammy time day. And jammy time days are great because you wake up and you get out of bed, and then after a little bit of time, you then change pajamas. So you're in your jammies all day. And no school. I don't know if she's going to pick it up. I'm hoping she... how the hell? What the hell is going on? But anyway, she's home. It's ridiculously cold, and it's going to continue that way. In fact, tonight it's going to be super bad. We're looking at minus 13. In northern Michigan, where I do the radio show, I was announcing that the wind chills were minus 25, minus 29. So when you are minus 13, which it will be here, and you get a gust of wind, like if you suddenly have a 20 mile an hour gust of wind, you're looking at minus 35 is what that's going to feel like. God, nothing drives conversation more than fucked up weather when something nutty is happening like that. Same thing when it gets ridiculously hot. That's one of the things I love so much about Michigan is that you have significant change in seasons. And if you're the two guys up north, the British dudes, Josh and Jace, they're experiencing Arctic level freeze. Arctic level freeze. I Come in Spurts in Nashville says they're calling for minus 10 to minus 15 wind chill here Sunday night. Mike in Vermont says advisory for minus 40 wind chill with 12 to 18 inches of snow. Oh, boy. Yeah. I heard about that storm, and that is all. That's somehow managing to stay south of Michigan. I guess the frigid Arctic air that's just blasting through from way up there somewhere is keeping that fucking thing down. Alan says wind chill you're in Wisconsin is minus 54 tonight. Ah, fuck. My God. Piano Finger with that's some cut open your tauntaun weather. Ice Planet Hoth reference, which that reference probably makes an appearance once a week on this show. There's been an announcement that I would like to discuss. Since, 2010, 2011, 2012, I have been pals with the band Wayland. We go way back. Way back. Years prior to that, they were grinding as a band, finding their way, different spots on the map, finally making their way back to Michigan. But they spent some time in Los Angeles trying to find their way, doing their thing, and they finally arrived at the radio station one day for the Lose Lose Music Review. Why am I telling you all this? Because the band is broken up. They are officially breaking up. Waylon is no more. It is not over anything personal where they don't like each other or anything like that. In fact, I'm going to read the statement from them. You see this picture of Phil and Mitch here. It says, we took this picture together last Sunday on Phil's 43rd birthday. As many of you know, we've been best friends since the first time we met when we were 18. Back then, we had no idea what kind of journey we were signing up for together. We often talk about our first conversations when we all wanted, with what we all wanted out of life was when all we wanted was to change lives with our music. Sorry. Over the last few months, we haven't been very active on social media or playing shows. We both shifted our focus toward figuring out exactly what we want for our futures. We will both always wholeheartedly support each other through anything and everything moving forward. That will never change. We're both at peace with our decision to set Waylon the band down indefinitely. We are so proud of the music we've made, the best friends we've made and the lives we've touched. First and foremost, we want to thank everybody who has ever called themselves a Wayland Warrior. Thank you for traveling to the shows, calling radio stations, buying merch, voting online, commenting on posts, sharing the music, and turning it up as loud as it will go. The two of us are so grateful for all the musicians who have joined us on stage and in the studio, the managers who believed in us, the producers who brought out the best in us, the promoters who took a chance on us, the radio folks who welcomed us in and gave us the opportunity to reach so many hearts, and the bus drivers and crew members who were in the trenches with us. The music will still be available to stream. We love you, and don't ever forget to get a little. That is that. I'm in a text conversation with both boys as we speak, saying, hey, boy, man, what a ride. What a ride. I'm excited to see what's up next. I don't know. I have no idea. But no, they did an amazing job, and the times that we shared were just fantastic. Taking them on the road with us for our live shows was great fun, and we just kind of hit it off in a great way. So though I'm sad, I'm happy that they are still pals, and I am excited to see what they do next. And I will be there to support them, Pooh Bear and I, as much as we can. David says, this feels as significant as David Coverdale announcing that Whitesnake is done. Oh, it's far less significant. Way less significant. One of the most awkward moments of my life, though, took place when I went to a Wayland show. It was Pooh Bear, myself, and a family friend who we are still very close with today. I cannot say who it is. But our age, divorced mom, her kids hang out with my kids. And this chick went all cougar. And, well, the next thing you know, the bass player, Dean, was taking her to Pound Town. Stinky Dean threw it in her. And the way it worked out was it was Pooh Bear, myself, and this chick went to the Wayland show, and we had to drive fucking Dean back so he could plow Mom. So they're in the back seat of the fucking Honda Odyssey, and something was going on back there, and I did not have the nerve to look in the rearview mirror, but I think that there might have been some finger blasting happening. Tophus says, is Dean still a problem? You're confusing Deans. This is Dean Pizzazz. Boring Dean is not the bass player of Wayland, you fucking morons. You know that there can be more than one person with the same name, you dickheads. What the fuck is wrong with you? How dumb are you people to think that Boring Dean was the bass player with Wayland finger banging one of our best friends in the back seat of the Honda Odyssey? God, some of you people are so dumb. No, it wasn't Boring Dean. Anyway, we take her home. She takes Dean home. And then they get out and go, see you later. And they go walking in. And from what the kissing and telling that took place, because this mom, who was like 20 years older than Dean at the time, Dean was probably like 28. the quote was to Diana, "You won't believe how many rubbers are on the ground, like in the bedroom." I guess the whole, like it was coated with used rubbers. It was rubber fest. So I guess there was like a meetup or two here and there, and then that was it. The two went separate ways, but it was cool, I guess. Nick in Houston says, "I still don't know what finger blasting is." Well, I'm not telling you. You need to ask your kids. All right, I got to try Pooh Bear again. Now, if she doesn't pick up, I got to go find out where she is, make sure she's okay.
Hello?
Oh, thank God. I was getting worried about you, that you were like outside.
Why? What, did you try to call me again?
Yeah, I called you, and it,
I was downstairs doing the dishes and laundry.
One of the audience members, Nick, in Houston, Texas, he does not know what finger blasting is. Have you ever heard of that?
Well, I think if I use my imagination, I could come up with something.
Yeah, most people can. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was just discussing with them how Waylon broke up.
Yeah. Have you reached out to them?
Yeah. I talked to both of them.
Yeah.
And,
I'm glad you did.
And so, but while I was talking about that, I didn't say any names, but there was a memorable moment when it was you, me, and one of our dear friends who went to the Waylon concert and then came back with actually one of the members of Waylon in the van.
Yeah.
All right.
That was years ago.
Yeah. And it turns out that there was some
O'Neill.
What happened? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. He tried to steal my apple.
Oh, you're eating. I thought I was hearing something. It sounded like something was going on. You're eating the apple.
Yeah, I'm having an apple with some caramel dip.
Can we maybe just put that on pause while the conversation goes on? Because it's.
Did you hear me bite?
Absolutely. It didn't sound like I knew something was happening.
Sorry. Okay. Anyway.
So yeah, this mom cougared. I don't know how that's happened. Did you ever get an explanation as to how the game of cat and mouse before these two started, or between these two started backstage?
Yeah, I don't really remember. No, I don't remember. I remember it happening, but I don't remember how it all.
Yeah. Well, I know that Stinky Dean, the bass player for Waylon, he's a flirt.
Yeah, and he's pretty. What do you call that? Charismatic.
Oh, big time. And funny as hell.
Yes.
Can you just sit still, perhaps? Just like don't do anything other than talk on the phone.
What did you hear now?
Everything. iPhones are a technological wonder. And I'm wearing headphones. I can hear everything.
Well, I had to blow my nose, and now I'm just sitting here.
Outstanding.
Okay.
Now I understand. I remember that there was a phone call. This sweet lady was doing some kissing and telling, and indicated that the floor was littered with rubbers. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember that? That stood out to me. Uh-oh. Do I hear Darla?
Yeah, but she just went out, so she just wants food. I mean, she just wants my apple.
Okay.
She just came back from being outside.
All right. Anyway.
So she's just being an ass.
All right. Never mind. Well, if you don't remember, it doesn't matter. It was just a...
you mean, okay. When you first said it, I thought you meant like the floor of the concert arena. But you mean like the bedroom floor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that.
Wait, how did one of those things actually happen? And you're thinking I was talking about rubbers in a public place on the floor?
Yeah, I thought you said something about rubbers were all over the concert arena or something.
No. They were on the floor of the bedroom.
Oh.
And you remember that, right? Like, you won't believe how many rubbers we went through.
Yeah. I do remember that.
Yeah, that was quite a little. I think it only lasted for a few weeks, maybe just little.
Right.
Sometimes single women are as horny as single men.
Yeah.
It
I
happens.
would say so.
Yeah, no judging. No.
I don't recall because I haven't been single in many years.
No.
Yeah.
But if you were and you were in the mood, that's it. That's happening.
And I hear you. You got to do what you got to do to satiate. Is that a word?
Scratch. I think it is. I don't know.
Scratch the itch.
Scratch that
Or
itch.
satiate the Irving craving or whatever.
We haven't had to worry about that, though, because we just passed a milestone on January 14.
Yeah.
A lot of satiating going on since January 14.
7 years.
January 14, 1989. Pooh Bear and Eric became boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
That was something.
That's right. You were only 18.
Yes, I was. Cole says, so is this lady still a slut? No, and I don't think that lady was ever a slut. That she just was turned on. She just wanted Stinky Dean.
Yeah, she was attracted to him.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Okay. Piano Finger Banger says Pooh Bear robbed the cradle. Kind of. 3-4 years, whatever. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you found out if the hockey game is still on for tonight?
The hockey game is on for tonight.
It's on still?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Okay, I love you.
I love you too. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
I don't think hitting it off with a guy and going home and having sex makes a person a slut. You dirty fuck. I don't think that that's a fair comment by Cole at all. You asshole. Red Bull Brain Chris says Maureen needs to go rescue Darla. They're starving the poor thing. Yeah, she's starving. Right. Maureen says, no, that's part of the definition of a slut. Look, I can't agree with that. I think that's a scale. I mean, if two people meet and they happen to have sex on the first night, I think that a slut would be if that person then goes out the next morning for breakfast and then the guy who's working at McDonald's has sex with him in the bathroom and then in the evening goes to Wendy's and has sex with that guy at Wendy's. That would kind of like be slutty type of behavior. I can't say that just because two people meet and they hit it off and they end up having sex, that makes a person a slut. So I don't support that ridiculous comment. All right. Anyway, I'm sure the band Waylon will be very happy with me talking about them breaking up, and then my most fond memory is when Dean, the bass player, took one of our dear friends to Pound Town. Piano Finger Banger says, get Phil on the line. Maureen says, is Phil also a man whore? Or just Dean? I don't know if I could call any of these people man whores. Maureen thinks that if two people meet and they end up having sex, they're sluts and whores. I mean, nowadays, I think that that's fairly normal for people to go on the first date and they have sex. I can say this. If I happen to go on a first date and somebody gave me a vibe that they wanted to have sex, I would probably have sex. I just don't think it's that big of a deal anymore. Nick says, do Freeburn Hot Wings still support Waylon, or did they cut ties when you left? No, I don't think they cut ties. I think that they didn't stay as close. They didn't keep, you know how like when people move and then you stop talking to them? I think that it kind of went that way. Nick says it's totally normal to just have sex like that. Maureen says, I didn't say that. I just was defining a slut. Stevie says, with someone you just met, ew, I know, it's shocking. But I would say if you are 40 and under and you meet someone, let's say you're a dude in particular, and that's fairly often that if the woman actually thinks, boy, this is a guy I might like to have sex with, in years gone by, they might like kick that can down the road. Nowadays, she's going to be like, hey, we need to go have sex. All right. 100% of the time, the guy is always ready to have sex because they're guys. They're just waiting for the opportunity for the right woman, which is 10 out of 10 times nowadays, to like, hey, that was a nice meal. Let's go have sex. Nick in Houston said, a girl told me on a date once, avocado tastes like penis, and boy, do I love avocado. Okay. Was that a first date? And did it go down that night? It had to have gone down if she's going to make a crack like that. Birch Barlow says, if they don't welcome you to Pound Town on the first date, there shouldn't be a second date. Now, I don't agree with that at all. I would go into it expecting to not get sex. But if it was offered, I would do it. All right? But I would never, I would only wait for the sign from the other person. If the person I was going on the date with indicated something that was 100% a green light, and you'd have to be 100% sure. Ben Glaze says, I've done sex on first dates, LOL. Maureen says, but doesn't the guy think she's a little loose if she has sex on the first date? Not these days. No. Being that Maureen is, she's like 96 years old. So we have to kind of like keep her up to speed as to the way it is now. And she's been married for like 88 years. Bob says, what about before the first date? Ike Humminspurts says, even better, LOL. Becca Shea says, well, he is loose too. Why is it always the woman that's loose? I don't know. First of all, she's not. And if a guy did the same thing, then you're right. It's not like that anymore. Maureen says, I've led a sheltered life with the same man since I was 17 and brought up Catholic with all that guilt, LOL. Oh yeah, that's all out the window now. That is all out the window. there has been, whether we like it or not, or whether we know it or not, another sexual revolution since the mobile device came into play. And, yeah, so if, like the other day, yesterday, I plowed my neighbor's snow, Matt. And he comes out and he's like, hey, thanks, I had a bad day today. I go, really? He goes, yeah, I just got pulled out of a ditch. I go, well, the tide is turning. The tide is turning for you. And he started to say, what do you say you come in and fuck my ass? And I stopped him. And I said, I'm good, man. I love you. I appreciate that. Not really into it. But it's good to know that it's there. And he goes, no problem. I'm going to go in and fuck my ass myself. And I go, absolutely. And then off he went. That's common in this neighborhood. All right. This is all very religious community that I live in. Everybody here is goes to church. I'm the only one here on Sundays. But yeah, that's part of it. Piano Finger Banger says, hey, that's a nice plow job. Want to come plow something else? Exactly. So, Maureen, just so you know, that's the way it is nowadays. Tova says, I thought you were going to say you plowed your neighbor. Well, yeah, he wanted me to. Alan says, that caught me so off guard. Oh, you're telling me. How do you think I felt? Hey, Matt. Oh, my God. Thank you so much. No problem. Want to fuck? No, I'm good. Bob says, thanks for blowing my driveway. Want me to blow you? That's the way it is, Maureen. It is a young person's world. I'm with you. That's not mandatory. I would never go into a date expecting that. I would go into a date. This is what I would expect if I were going on a first date. I would expect, like out of me, you just get politeness, try to be myself. Don't try to overdo anything. Try to stay as true to me as possible. And whatever happens, happens. Anything beyond that, out of me, you're going to get manners. I'll be polite. But if she says, hey, what do you say we go home? And yes, I will, if that's what you want. So, Maureen, if you go to a date, and you're like, woo, that was fun. Well, I'm going to go in now. You have a good one. And then after like 3 months, it's still like that. And you're calling him your boyfriend. He's gonna hate that. Linda says, thank you all for educating my sister so I don't have to. Linda knows. I mean, Linda, she's been single for some time. And she knows that if she goes on a date, she knows what she wants too. And that might change. There may be dates when she just wants to go out, get a bite to eat, and maybe go home. Other days, she might be with a super attractive guy, and the next thing you know, there's rubbers all over the carpet. Maureen says, I would really hate to have to date at this point in my life. Megan says, me too. Can you imagine having to see someone naked for the first time again? Ben Glaze says, yeah, me too. I hate sex also. Maureen says, Linda is a whore. You said so yourself, EZ. Tophus says, Linda wanted to show some muff to some young strange, didn't she? I remember something about that yesterday. There was the idea was floated about Linda living in East Lansing and being on the porch of a residence on a warm, sunny day wearing a see-through nightgown with fully visible muff through the sheen. And like the college boys, in and out like Grand Central Station. with like a jizz trail going from the house to the porch. She did not agree that that's what happened, though. That was just a joke being floated. She says, I keep my private life private, 100%. Alan says, it's time to turn Maureen into a whore. What? Rebecca says, LOL, it worked out for me and Jeremy. Okay, perfect example. Rebecca and Jeremy, younger, 30-somethings. I will bet you that the first time they met, they had sex. I will bet that they made a sex the first time. I am confident. Happens to the best of us, Eric. Well, yes, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. That is normal these days. That is because people have already revealed so much about them between communication, phone, text, whatever, that you're already ready to go. She says no sexy time the first time, but a good makeout session in a parking garage. Oh, my God. Piano Finger Banger says, have you seen Jeremy? Who could resist? Maureen says, happy birthday, Becky. Megan asks, Rebecca, clothes on or off? Tofa adds, yeah, Jeremy is hot now. He is. Oh, my God. This has been such a revealing, amazing show. We have covered the gamut of emotions. We have come so far. Been a lot going on here. You could say it was enraging to some at first, but the one thing it wasn't was boring. Rebecca says, clothes on, but maybe some hand wandering. Stevie points out, what an interesting show today. Thank you for that. Great compliment. I appreciate that. Alan says, amazing show. Thank you. Maureen says, great show Friday. Lots of fun. Piano Finger Banger says that Rebecca blue-balled Jeremy. I don't know. Maybe he batched in his pants. If we have nominations for the asshole of the day, by all means, get them in. Thank you to Frank Fuss, My Policy Shop Insurance. If you need any help with the marketplace, navigating health insurance, right now it's weird because the law just changed. You might have to make some changes to your policy. Frank can help you. People who take advantage of healthcare.gov insurance policies are folks in between jobs, unemployed folks, or people who work at places where they don't offer insurance. And Frank can help you. All you need to do is go to appointmentwithfrank.com. That is appointmentwithfrank.com, and he will take care of the rest. Salute to Irvine's Auto Repair, Grand Rapids Hybrid and EV. They fixed Jackie's soon-to-be my car expertly. There was like what did they do? I want to read this to you, actually. It got sent my way. I think there was, basically, in order to get this gasket replaced, they had to take apart the motor. It was a super intensive job. Time-intensive job, labor-intensive, and I'm so thankful that they got it done for me and repaired that to the car. And they keep that car. It's an older car. It's a 2015. They keep it running great, and I'm very appreciative for them, or that they are there. ervines.com. I can't fix that stuff. I have no idea what I'm doing. Most people don't. ervines.com. if you want your car expertly repaired. This isn't like a bunch of grease monkeys hanging out, eating sub sandwiches and being disgusting while they wait on you and work on 3 cars at the same time. These are top-level continuing education mechanics to make sure that it's done right the first time and that your car is kept safe and on the road. ervines.com. That is ervines.com. Irvines. You got tree trouble? You call Kuiper Tree Care. 616-828-8225. KUIPER. KuiperTreeCare.com. And finally, Merchant Automotive. They work on trucks that have Duramax engines and Allison transmissions. It's pretty much the premier place in West Michigan to get something fixed. So, yeah, sure, you like to work on your truck on your own, but sometimes you just don't have the expertise to get it done appropriately, to get it done correctly. Merchant Automotive in Zeeland, Michigan, they will repair your vehicle right the first time, your truck. So I got Irvines repairing cars, EVs, and hybrids. And I've got Merchant Automotive repairing trucks with Duramax engines and Allison transmissions. Also, follow them on Facebook and go to their website when you want to buy one of their kits made there and sent to you for any type of DIY project on your truck. Merchant-automotive.com. All right. I want to get to the asshole of the day. David in Hudsonville, Michigan. He says that Amanda is the asshole of the day. Stevie says pedophiles. Well, I think we all agree with that. Bob says asshole of the day, 5-year-old that couldn't keep up with their fleeing father. Donut Dan says asshole of the day is the chat. Let's see. Seeing if there's anybody else that's got a nomination. Oh, boy. There are no other nominations. The asshole of the day today is Amanda. Amanda is the asshole of the day. What an asshole Amanda is. Now, I cannot say, I am not going to agree with that. I think it could be someone else. Tofa says, whoa, what did she do? I got here late. You'll have to go back. You're just going to have to go back. You'll figure it out. But Stevie says, LOL, amazing. And that is going to do it. That is a Friday edition of this show. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I'll join you on Patreon a little later. Till then, have a good one, folks. Thank you, and bye-bye.